You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Just wanted to give a quick shout out to my friends at Hive Mind, Methods, the Speaker 2018, and the Sharp Edge 1. This is their new channel. I know I put some stuff about it on Twitter, and I also shared it with my community tab on YouTube, but I would just appreciate if everybody watching would do them a favor and go and subscribe, because they are going to be doing some incredible shows, not just in investigative work, not just interviews, but also personal stories from people in the movement, people who have got just, incredible things to talk about. It's going to be a weekly show. They've got a website right there, hivemind.com. The eyes are ones, and they've got a pretty cool logo. So do me a favor, do them a favor, show them some love, give them a subscription, and like and share their videos. Now that leads me directly into my next topic here. My friend Methods, my friend and fellow researcher Methods, he's taken some time off from Twitter. He did deactivate his account. He's just, got some stuff going on in his life. He needs to step back for a minute. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that he's okay. This work is particularly grueling, you guys. We're working basically 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And not only is it just a lot of pressure to produce and to keep all the interactions up, but the things you see, the things that you come to know, can really weigh heavily on your mind, and then we're talking about the mental, the physical, the spiritual attacks coming from the cabal and all of their minions. Sometimes it's just, it's best for everyone, I think, to unplug, to step back away from the melee, and spend some time working on yourself, So I just basically wanted to let everybody know that Methods is good. He said that he loves everyone, and that he will be back after some much-needed R&R. All right, guys, real quick, we have a word from my sponsor, and we'll be right back. Hey guys, I just want to tell you about my new sponsor that I am so grateful for. This is Life Change Tea, and I'll tell you what, Life Change Tea is just that, life-changing. I drink Life Change Tea, and I can tell you that the taste is wonderful, and you need to listen to what this tea does. It truly is the tea that makes you go. You brew it, you let it steep, and you drink it 8 hours later, and just wow, the flavor is great, it's all natural, it's non-GMO, and it contains totally organic ingredients. The tea is not just green tea, but it's an herbal blend that cleanses intruders out of your body. There may be some side effects. You might lose a little bit of weight. You'll definitely gain some more energy. And this tea aids in cleansing your colon, which is the motherboard of your body. There's a gazillion testimonials that I can't share with you right now because people in suits, basically. With all the junk we put in our bodies every day, have you ever felt heavy? Heavy metals can make you feel sluggish and sick, and the Life Change Tea is the answer for me. You can try it today at getthetea.com. Just remember, getthetea.com. And thank you for supporting my sponsors. All right, thank you for sticking around, guys. First on the docket for today in the news, the U.S. Office of the Special Counsel has recommended that Kellyanne Conway be removed from office for Hatch Act violations. What a joke. The U.S. Office of Special Counsel said in a report given to President Trump on Thursday that his counselor, Kellyanne Conway, has repeatedly violated the Hatch Act and recommended her removal from federal service. The Hatch Act bars federal employees from engaging in political activities. The U.S. Office of Special Counsel calls on President Donald J. Trump to remove Ms. Conway from her federal position immediately, the agency wrote in a letter to the White House. Kellyanne Conway violated the Hatch Act on numerous occasions by disparaging Democratic presidential candidates while speaking in her official capacity during television interviews and on social media, the letter stated. The OSC cited two separate television interviews in which Kellyanne Conway advocated for and against candidates in the 2017 Alabama special election for U.S. Senate. In May 2019, during a media interview, when asked about the Hatch Act, Kellyanne Conway said, "If you're trying to silence me through the Hatch Act, it's not going to work, and let me know when the jail sentence starts." This story is still developing. Of course, we're going to be getting into any new information that comes out, but this is clearly an attempt by the left, by the cabal, to silence Kellyanne Conway and stop her from going out and saying things that need to be said. She's not just out there disparaging candidates and suggesting that people vote for Republicans. She's out there talking about actual things that have been done by these candidates, real reasons why perhaps you might want to do some more research and think about this stuff. Miss Conway has not been engaging in violations of the Hatch Act. And this is a very rare thing, that things are brought against people for this particular statute. And in this case, it's clearly because she works with the president. She brings the message for the president to the media outlets. I would, if they're going to go after Kellyanne Conway, then I want to see them going after the people who clearly violated the Hatch Act, people who worked for federal government agencies and were caught on camera admitting it to people at PV, Project Veritas, admitting that they were working for the Socialists of America, producing literature, making calls. This is the way that it works here in the world today. Democrats get away with it. The left gets away with it. The right, they suffer the consequences for things that the left does all the time. And I don't even believe that Kellyanne Conway violated the Hatch Act, but I believe that she will have her day in court, and I do not think the president is going to leave her in the lurch. Now next, George Papadopoulos is speaking out again, and he's saying that James Clapper was in New Zealand and Australia to cover his tracks on deep state spying on Trump during the election. Former FBI Director James Comey and Director of National Intelligence James Clapper traveled to New Zealand in 2016. Of course, we know that New Zealand, the UK, Australia, Canada, and the U.S. are all members of the Five Eyes Intelligence Pact. Now, for months, the Trump campaign volunteer George Papadopoulos has accused members of Five Eyes of spying on him and Trump campaign officials during the 2016 election. On Wednesday, Papadopoulos tweeted that former DNI went back to New Zealand recently to cover his tracks, and the deep state knows the boomerang is coming. Here is the actual tweet from George Papadopoulos. He says, "Keep an eye on Clapper's recent trip to New Zealand and Australia. He's trying to cover his tracks along with those two governments which were willfully interfering in our democratic process. The transcripts of my meeting with Downer are ready to come out, and America is ready." That's right, guys. We've had enough of it. We are ready to see these transcripts, the exculpatory evidence that the government has been hiding and that they used to ensure a conviction against someone like George Papadopoulos. There is more news on this story. He's out there taunting the former president's crooked FBI. He says the secret transcripts of my meeting with Alexander Downer are ready to come out. Now, he was sending out tweets on Wednesday evening, and he said that the secret transcripts about his meeting with Australian diplomat, secret spy, Alexander Downer are ready to come out. Papadopoulos admitted that there are transcripts of his spring 2016 London meeting with Alexander Downer because the Australian diplomat was most likely wearing a wire or recording their conversation. The transcripts of my meeting with Downer are ready to come out. America is ready. And Papadopoulos said this while taunting James Clapper for his involvement. Now, Representative John Ratcliffe earlier Wednesday suggested that the FBI had that exculpatory evidence, perhaps secret transcripts of George Papadopoulos, yet withheld it from the FISA court. The very existence of these secret Papadopoulos transcripts is classified and not yet publicly confirmed. However, with Papadopoulos admitting they exist, along with Republican lawmakers strongly suggesting there is evidence of transcripts, it looks like the truth is about to come out. Now, former Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy stunned the Democrat media complex last month when he strongly suggested there are secret transcripts of Papadopoulos' conversation with FBI informants. While in London in the spring of 2016, Papadopoulos met with Australian diplomat Alexander Downer, who tried to plant dirt on the Trump campaign advisor by bringing up the Russians processing dirt on Hillary Clinton. Papadopoulos didn't bite because he felt like the meeting with Downer was suspicious. In fact, Papadopoulos has said that he doesn't even remember Hillary Clinton's name coming up in his meeting with Downer, and these transcripts could prove that he's telling the truth. In a previous interview with Byron York, Papadopoulos described Downer as a keystone cop because he was obvious about recording him with his cell phone. These secret transcripts have exculpatory information in them as suggested by Ratcliffe and Gowdy, and the FBI withheld it from the FISA court. If it comes out that Papadopoulos never even discussed Hillary or Russia in his meeting with Downer, the entire Russia hoax, along with the conspiracy media, will come crumbling down. Papadopoulos is correct. America is ready for the truth to come out, and it's time to show us the transcripts. Here we go. We have yet another instance of the former administration's holdovers secretly keeping information from people they are trying to charge with crimes in order to make sure that those convictions are achieved. Now, the question is it the FBI? Is it the DOJ? Is it Mueller and Weissman, the bulldog on the special counsel's team? We're going to find out. This information is percolating to the surface for a reason, because now we are going to see these transcripts. And once these transcripts are met with full examination in the court of public opinion and in the court of the DOJ, we are going to actually see with our own eyes just how flimsy the case was for this Russian collusion narrative. I am very interested to know what James Clapper was doing exactly in Australia and New Zealand. It's very clear that he, along with Brennan, along with Comey, they were all knee-deep in this entire setup narrative. And these three, if not many, many other people, deserve to see justice, and they deserve to have the evidence shown in court. This is no small matter. This really was a coup attempt, and this was treason, because Donald Trump was their president, and they were willing to do anything to shut him out and get him taken out of office. Well, guess what, guys? The worm has turned. And it's turned so hard because U.S. Attorney John Durham is now interviewing clown operatives on this Trump spying operation. And John Brennan better lawyer up. Look at him. He looks like a gargoyle. The Bill Barr Justice Department plans on interviewing senior clown officials as part of its expanding investigation into the Obama deep state spying on the Trump campaign in the 2016 election, according to a new report from the New York Times. Clown director Gina Haspel has told senior officials that while the C_A plans to cooperate, it will protect information that could place sources or collection methods at risk. According to the Trump-hating New York Times, Intel officials have been informed that Attorney General William Barr has assigned the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut, John Durham, to seek these interviews. Barr is also still trying to piece together why the former administration believed that Putin ordered Russian operatives to aid President Trump in 2016. Sean Hannity added that the Department of Justice is also seeking cooperation from foreign intelligence agencies, including Italy, the UK, and Australia, who were used by the former president's deep state to help spy on Trump campaign officials. John Brennan may want to quit trolling on Twitter and get himself a good lawyer. So President Trump on Twitter said, I was actually sticking up for sleepy Joe Biden while on foreign soil. Kim Jong-un called him a low IQ idiot, and many other things, whereas I related the quote of Chairman Kim as a much softer, low IQ individual. Who could possibly be upset with that, especially when it's true? Now, back on May 28th, John Brennan responded, and he said, "You do not have a scintilla of the intellect, decency, and principles of VP Biden. What you do have is Biden envy." Not so laughable, so laughable. Who envies Joe Biden? Even the Democratic Party is sick of Joe Biden. Right now, the only reason they have not completely annihilated him is because despite their best efforts, Joe Biden is still the Democrats' last and greatest hope to beat President Trump. And you know what? That hope is dwindling by the hour. Joe Biden has absolutely no chance of beating President Trump in 2020. You guys, we are going to see a landslide victory in 2020 because you know why? The Democrats are not going to be able to steal votes at the ballot boxes like they have in the past. We are going to see a major shift in the way that this election takes place when compared to past elections. They are waiting in the lurch to catch these guys and see them in the act. They've already done it. The government has already gathered lots of information and lots of evidence to show that they have done illegal things with regard to the ballot box and voters. California, New York, these places are no longer going to be choosing the direction that our country goes in. And this is going to be the best possible thing that could happen to our country. Finally, in 2020, we are going to see an honest election. Thank you so much, President Trump, for restoring America to greatness. Now, in an article from Real Clear Politics, it goes into much greater detail about this these interviews that are taking place and that will happen. Two colleagues of C_A John Brennan are contradicting his denial of reliance on the dossier. Now, former C_A Director John Brennan's insistence that the salacious and unverified Steele dossier was not part of the official intelligence community assessment on Russian interference in the 2016 election is being officially contradicted by two top former clown officials. Recently retired National Security Agency Director Mike Rogers stated in a classified letter to Congress that the Clinton campaign funded memos did factor into the ICA. And James Clapper, director of national intelligence under the former president, conceded in a recent CNN interview that the assessment was based on some of the substantive content of the dossier. Without elaborating, he maintained that we were able to corroborate certain allegations. That's a lie. They were never able to corroborate any of it. These accounts are at odds with Brennan's May 2017 testimony before the House Intelligence Committee that the Steele dossier was not in any way used as the basis for the intelligence community's assessment that Russia interfered in the election to help elect Donald Trump. Brennan has repeated this claim on numerous occasions, including in February on Meet the Press. Now, on March 5th of 2018, a letter to House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, Admiral Rogers informed the committee that a two-page summary of the dossier, described as the Christopher Steele information, was added as an appendix to the ICA draft, and that consideration of that appendix was part of the overall ICA review and approval process. How could it not be? His skepticism of the dossier may explain why the NSA parted company with other intelligence agencies and cast doubt on one of its crucial conclusions, that Vladimir Putin himself personally ordered a cyber attack on Clinton's campaign to help Donald Trump win the White House. Rogers, of course, has testified that while he was sure the Russians wanted to hurt Clinton, he wasn't as confident as C_A and FBI officials that their actions were designed to help Trump, explaining that such an assessment didn't have the same level of sourcing and that the same level of multiple sources. The dossier, of course, it was made up of 16 opposition research-style memos on Trump, underwritten by the Democratic National Committee and Clinton's own campaign, and it's based mostly on uncorroborated third-hand sources. Still, the ICA has been viewed by much of the Washington establishment as the unimpeachable consensus of the U.S. intelligence community. Its conclusions that Vladimir Putin ordered the hacking and leaking of Clinton campaign emails to help Trump's chances of victory have driven the Russia collusion narrative and subsequent investigations besieging the Trump presidency. Except that the ICA did not reflect the consensus of the intelligence community. Clapper broke with tradition and decided not to put the assessment out to all 17 U.S. intelligence agencies for review. Instead, he limited input to a couple dozen chosen analysts from just 3 agencies: the clowns, the NSA, and the FBI. Agencies with relevant expertise on Russia, such as the Department of Homeland Security, Defense Intelligence Agency, and the State Department's Intelligence Bureau, were actually excluded from the process. While faulting Clapper for not following intelligence community tradecraft standards that Clapper himself ordered in 2015, the House Intelligence Committee's 250-page report also found that the ICA did not properly describe the quality and credibility of underlying sources and was not independent in political considerations. This means that, yes, of course, the ICA did use the dossier, and they included a summary of it in their summation of the Russian hacking myth. Now, by not following Clapper's own tradecraft that he himself implemented in 2015, they went against generally respected regulations and practice, and they also lied and said that all 17 of these intelligence agencies were in agreement on the fact that Russia hacked into the election system, that it was Vladimir Putin that ordered it, and Vladimir Putin specifically wanted to help Trump win. All of this stuff was a lie. So it's been presented to the public as such by the mainstream media, by the left-hand arm of the Democratic Party, and we have a lot of very confused people out there in the United States right now. You and I, me and you friends, all of your friends, people watching these videos, they understand this. But think about how many people out there are blind, deaf, and dumb to exactly what actually took place. They are living in the twilight zone. When they wake up and they start seeing arrests and they start seeing headlines showing that people like John Brennan and James Comey and James Clapper are finally going to get their day in court, their heads are going to explode. So my point about this is, be kind to each other. Remember that these people have yet to wake up. And for a lot of people who are still behind the veil, they are going to have a very rude awakening. This is going to be a painful process for many people. I myself, just recently, I had a friend. We never talked about politics, but I just the other day let him know where I stood on politics. And he told me he was a socialist. I'm still willing to be friends with him. But now it's very clear that he wants absolutely nothing to do with me. It's very sad because he's missing a great opportunity. He has every right in the world to be a socialist, and I have every right in the world to support President Trump. But because of reporting like CNN, MSNBC, other hack mainstream media outlets, people like him, their minds are closed off. So all I'm saying is love your brother, love your sister. Even if they don't believe the same things that you do, they are still human beings, and it's so important to remember there is a chance for them to break through and learn the truth, and this is what we do here. We bring the truth to the masses, we inform people, we wake people up, and someday they will wake up. They may not like it, but they're going to see the truth, and we need to be here for them when that takes place. Now, Sean Hannity is giving a bit of commentary on Trump's ABC interview. He said that it was the greatest setup that Donald Trump ever made. So Sean Hannity joined Fox and Friends this morning, Thursday morning, in the studio in front of a live audience. And this came after the media's latest manufactured outrage over President Trump's interview with liberal George Stephanopoulos from ABC News. Trump told George during their interview that if he was given opposition research from another country, he might use it, and he might tell the FBI. The liberal media were absolutely outraged that Trump would dare talk with and take opposition research from a foreign country. Sean Hannity weighed in, saying this was the greatest setup that Donald Trump has ever made. Sean explained, I call them the media mob, right? They lied to us for 2 years. Conspiracy theories, a hoax. So Donald Trump, if you're outraged in the media over that, him saying, I might want to listen and if need be, report to the FBI. If you're outraged over that, then how could you not be outraged over Hillary Clinton literally empowered a foreign agent who produced a dossier full of Russian lies that was used to infiltrate our electoral process? First by influencing the American people, but more importantly, they used a British foreign national, a spy. It was never verified. They used it then to spy on Americans. It's far worse what Hillary Clinton did, and they show no outrage in this fake media environment we live in. Amen, Sean. Let's go ahead and listen to this clip because you gotta love Sean Hannity.
We've got a soundbite from George Stephanopoulos, who spent 2 days with the president.
Little Georgie, we call him. Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. If he asked the president a hypothetical question, if somebody from another foreign power had some dirt on somebody, what would you do? And here's what the president said.
Your campaign this time around, if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening. If somebody called from a country, Norway, we have information on your opponent. Oh, I think I'd want to hear it.
You want that kind of interference in our elections?
It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it. If I thought there was something wrong, I'd go maybe to the FBI if I thought there was something wrong. But when somebody comes up with Oppo research, right? They come up with Oppo research. Oh, let's call the FBI. The FBI doesn't have enough agents to take care of it. But you go and talk honestly to congressmen. They all do it. They always have. And that's the way it is. It's called Oppo research.
So is the president right or wrong on that?
This was the greatest setup that Donald Trump has ever made. Because I call them the media mob, right? They've lied to us for 2 years, conspiracy theories, hoax. So Donald Trump, if you're outraged in the media over that, well, I might want to listen is what he said, and then if need be report to the FBI. If you're outraged over that, how could you not be outraged? Hillary Clinton literally empowered a foreign agent who produced a Russian, a dossier full of Russian lies that was used to infiltrate our electoral process, first by influencing the American people, but more importantly...
Using a British spy.
They used a British foreign national to spy. It's full of Russian lies. It was never verified. They used it then to spy on Americans, and hence Carter Page. They got into the Trump campaign.
Are you saying what's the difference?
No, I'm saying that it's far worse what Hillary Clinton did, and they show no outrage in this fake media environment we live in. And Trump, if you got outraged over him saying, I'll listen and maybe tell the FBI, why don't you get outraged about the woman that paid for the Russian lies and used it as a means of trying to destroy Donald Trump and steal the election?
But would you also say, Sean, that the better answer for the president would have been, listen, I'm not taking Russian or Chinese or any outside influence because I don't need it, and it shouldn't. We don't want another country infiltrated.
What is wrong with listening to what they have to say?
I don't think you should be listening to what China has to say about your opponent.
What about Norway?
That's a foreign. You want them?
What about Norway?
Yeah.
No, listen. When you listen, you might learn something, or you might learn something that you share with the FBI, as the president said. And I'm a believer. Look, if I ever was the president of the United States, I'd talk to Putin. I know he's a hostile actor. I'd talk to the Iranians. I wouldn't give them $150 billion like Biden and Obama, but I'd talk to them and probably tell them, if you ever make the wrong move, this is what's going to happen.
Right. But if they said, hey, I know you're running against John Kerry, and let me just tell you what John Kerry did.
Okay, it's either true or false, and you have to determine if it's true or false. If it's true, boom, you just got a big favor.
Is that okay?
Sure, it's okay.
This faux outrage from the left, and even, from this panelist here on Fox and Friends, just because it's a foreign country doesn't mean that you shouldn't be exchanging information with them. This is the way that diplomacy works. Of course you're going to accept information, and of course you're going to vet it. The problem here is that Clinton and the DNC took opposition research, rumors, innuendo, insinuations, salacious lies, and they ran with it with their friends at the FBI and the DOJ, and they tried to make it look as if it was real. They used it to smear our president and to try to take him down. Now, the difference here between the left and us is that we will do our due diligence. Of course, we are going to accept information from a foreign ally, even an adversary, but we're going to vet that information. And if there is real news about crimes that have been committed, you know what crimes I'm talking about. If there is real news about a danger to U.S. sovereignty, to the U.S. citizenry, to people all across America, if there is real and actual tangible evidence showing that someone has committed criminal acts, it is our duty to look into that information, to vet that information, and to take action on that information. All right, finally, folks, pencil neck Adam Schiff has been caught in another major lie while chairing the House Intelligence Committee. Look at that crazy-eyed fool. House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff lied again yesterday, at least one time during the House Intel Committee meeting. Schiff claimed during the meeting that former and now fired FBI Director James Comey did not circumvent Congress when he created the bogus Trump-Russia investigation in 2016. That is such a lie. New York Republican Representative Elise Stefanik begged to differ. Representative Stefanik asked the former FBI Director Comey herself why he went around Congress and did not notify them when the bogus investigation was set up. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video here from June 12th, 2019, posted by Representative Stefanik. She says, Adam Schiff didn't believe me today when I told him Comey circumvented Congress by opening an investigation into the Trump campaign. Maybe he'll change his mind once he hears it straight from Comey's mouth. Watch.
Clear in the open hearing that Director Comey testified that he chose not to brief the Gang of Eight on the opening of the counterintelligence investigations. This has been widely reported. This was an open hearing, and we've worked across the aisle on language to be included in the Intel Authorization Act to ensure that any counterintelligence investigation into a presidential campaign is briefed. So I hope you would agree, based upon the testimony of Director Comey, that he circumvented the process. And in our oversight capacity, I agree with you, we need to have an update to make sure that they're following those procedures. But I think we need to strengthen not just the typical way of doing things, but put it in law so that they are required to brief us.
Mr. Bunnock, I would only say that that was not his testimony, that the first time that he was briefing the counterintelligence investigation to us was contemporaneous with his disclosing it to the public.
I did not say that in my statement. Will the gentleman yield? I said days before. So in March of 2017.
And the representative is not accurate, but I cannot go into the timeline, but I can't say that that's not accurate.
I hope the members of the public would go back to Director Comey's testimony and follow the facts and just look at his direct testimony to this committee, which stated that he did not follow the proper protocols and procedures of briefing congressional leadership on the opening of the counterintelligence investigation, and I yield back. If the open investigation began in July and the briefing of congressional leadership only occurred recently, why was there no notification prior to the past month?
I think our decision was it was a matter of such sensitivity that we wouldn't include it in the quarterly briefings.
So when you state our decision, is that your decision? Is that usually your decision what gets briefed in those quarterly updates?
No, it's usually the decision of the head of our counterintelligence division.
And just, again, to get the detailed on the record, why was the decision made not to brief senior congressional leadership until recently when the investigation had been open since July, a very serious investigation? Why was that decision made to wait months?
Because of the sensitivity of the matter?
Right there. James Comey admitted to circumventing Congress. Adam Schiff is either ignorant or he is lying. And I tend to think that although he is ignorant, he is definitely lying in this case. Adam Schiff is a disgrace to Congress. He is a disgrace to the Intel Committee that he chairs, and I use that word very loosely. He is the leaker-in-chief of Congress. He is a pencil-neck punk, and Adam Schiff is definitely one of those people that needs to be held accountable. All right, folks, that is all I have for you today. I want to thank everyone for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.